Have you ever noticed that the darkest moments of your life, is it always those that precede something great? It doesn't seem like it. Because emptiness is scary, silence hurts, the lack seems unfair. But what if I told you that this emptiness you're living now, isn't it the end? It is the most sacred beginning of all. Do you know why? Because it is in nothingness that God works the most. It's when there's no one to help, no more to understand, no more to try, that he appears with everything, and not as someone who arrives, but as someone who has always been there, waiting for only one thing, you to empty yourself. You have been taught to fear emptiness, but God treats it as a portal. The problem was never the lack. The problem is what you believe about it. Today, you will understand why God always starts with nothing, and more. How this nothingness you are living now can be the most fertile field of your entire life. But beware, the latest revelation in this video is the strongest of all, because it changes everything you thought you knew about manifestation, purpose, and spirituality. So take a deep breath and stay with me until the end. What you're going to hear now isn't just content, it's consciousness moving inside. If you feel that what you just heard is not by chance, leave your like now and subscribe to the channel. This makes this content reach those who need it most, and it connects you with everything that is still to come. Let's get started. What you call nothing. God calls it soil. In Genesis, the first thing that existed was emptiness, without form, no color, aimless, and it is exactly there that God decides to create everything. This is no coincidence. It's standard, and divine patterns don't change, they repeat. Nothingness has never been a mistake on the way. It was the starting point. Before light, before heaven, before earth, there was nothingness, and it was out of nowhere that everything came about. God did not create the world from much. He created it out of nothing. But why does it matter to you today? Because your life, right now, may be looking exactly like that. A space without meaning, without direction, without clear promises on the horizon. Only emptiness. And you call it failure, delay, punishment. But God may be calling the beginning. The problem is that you have learned to understand silence as absence. But silence is where God whispers loudest. It is in this space of silence that your true identity begins to emerge. When everything disappears, you begin to see who you are, without the titles, without the papers, without the masks. Only you and God. That's when everything changes. The law of attraction begins with a desire, but the manifestation of truth begins with emptying. There's no way to attract something new if you're full of noise. The universe is mental, yes, but God is spirit. And he acts first where there's nothing to distract you. When the external is silent, the internal begins to speak. And what begins as silence? It turns into direction. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are ready to sustain. And sometimes, emptiness comes to prepare you. You may want abundance, but you're holding beliefs of scarcity. He may want love, but he is full of self-denial. What emptiness does is clear the field. Breaking illusions. Dissolve the eyes you created to protect yourself. It's painful, but necessary. And mainly, sacred. Because it is in this clean space that God plants what is his, and only what is his truly blossoms. Have you ever felt like you were being taken anywhere? That he was standing still, waiting for something that never came? This has a name in the Bible, desert. And the desert is no punishment. It's preparation. It was in the wilderness that Moses found his calling. It was in the wilderness that Elijah heard the voice of God. And it was in the wilderness that Jesus was strengthened before manifesting the greatest purpose in history. Perhaps your desert today is not geographical, but emotional, mental, spiritual. But the principle is the same. It's not to punish you. It's to refine you. It is there that everything that is false falls, and all that is true remains. Now take a deep breath, because what I'm going to tell you now is the turning point. There is a space within you that is not meant to be filled by things, people, or answers. This space is only activated in silence, in the dark, in apparent nothingness. That's where the presence manifests itself. And here's the revelation that changes everything. You don't have to attract what is already rightfully yours. You need to align yourself. Attraction without alignment is illusion. The universe may hear your mind, but God answers your heart, and a heart full of fear, doubt, or despair blocks the flow. That is why emptiness is necessary. It recalibrates your frequency, not for you to get what you want, but to become who you are. Incidentally, if what you want is to understand how to do this in your daily life with clarity, lightness, and truth, click on the first comment pinned below. There is content that is already helping many people to get out of survival mode and enter the state of conscious manifestation. It's worth it. It's for you. And back to the point. Nothing is an invitation. Not to give up, but to surrender. Because the most powerful manifestation doesn't happen when you fight. It happens when you trust. And trust is only born when everything that is not faith disappears. When you understand that emptiness is God's language, everything changes. You stop running, stop comparing, stop blaming yourself for not being there yet, wherever that there is. And it is finally starting to be here, present, conscious, because manifestation is not about seeking, it is about perceiving. And you only notice what's quiet enough to see. Nothing does that to us. It removes noise. And at first this feels lonely, but over time you realize that it's not loneliness, it's clarity. God has always acted like this. He does not operate in a hurry. He works in fullness, and plenitude is not noise, it is presence. When God wanted to form the world, he didn't run away. He said, "Let there be," and there was. Because when you're in alignment, one word is enough. This is how the actual manifestation happens, not out of desperation, but by authority. And here's something that maybe no one has told you yet. You don't have to convince God to bless you. He's already decided that long before you thought about asking. What needs to happen is you becoming the kind of person who knows how to receive. And this is not automatic. It is built. Emptiness builds you. It shapes your identity, takes away the excess, breaks the old patterns. But mostly, it reveals who you really are. Do you know why so many dreams don't come true, even with so much technique, so much visualization, so much affirmation? Because these are all tools, not the essence. The essence is in the spirit. Spirit creates everything from the invisible, and all that is truly yours. It is born in this invisible place, inside, in the heart, in secret. It is what the Bible calls a secret chamber, the place where God speaks, out of sight, away from the noise. And it is in this space that you reconnect. To truly manifest is to remember who you are in Him. You were made in the image of a creator. This means that creating is part of your spiritual DNA. But to create as He creates, you need to look as He looks. And God doesn't look at the lack. He looks at the potential. When He sees nothingness, He sees an open field. When you see dark, He sees womb. Emptiness is not absence. It's pregnancy. This is where many people give up, because emptiness looks like abandonment, but it's just a break among who you were and who you will become, and what sustains you in this interval. It is faith, and not just any faith, but the one that does not need external evidence to remain firm. The one who believes in the invisible, not because she has seen, but because she has heard, because something inside you already knows. He already recognizes it. God works in silence because it is in silence that you hear, not with the ears, but with the Spirit. It is there that the seed of manifestation begins to germinate. And here's the game-changing detail. You don't manifest forcefully. You manifest with truth. And the most powerful truth is that you are not separate from Source. You never were. Separation is an illusion, created out of fear, by beliefs, by conditioning. And that's why emptiness hurts, because it dismantles all these structures. But when you let the old fall, the new begins to rise. And here is a strong spiritual key. Everything that is built without going through the void, sooner or later, collapses. Because emptiness is not just a space, it is a foundation. It assures you that what you're manifesting not only be beautiful on the outside, but true on the inside. God does not build on sand. He digs deep. And sometimes what you called backwardness was just Him reinforcing the foundation. How many times have you tried to manifest something in a hurry? Afraid of losing? With that anxiety disguised as motivation? And he did not realize that the universe in this state does not respond fluidly, but with resistance, because their frequency was misaligned. What you feel while you want, it's what you attract. If you desire with despair, you manifest more despair. If you want it with faith, manifests the alignment. And faith is not closing your eyes and cheering. It is to open your eyes and trust. Trust that silence has a voice, that emptiness has direction, that the lack has a purpose, that the waiting time is in fact construction time. Remember Abraham? He received an impossible promise, having a child, when he was already old. And do you know how long it took for this to happen? Years. Because before the external manifestation, God had to work on the inside. He didn't just want to give a child. I wanted to give it an identity, a legacy, something that went beyond personal desire, something that touched generations. Maybe what you've been waiting for isn't overdue. Maybe it's just becoming too big to fit into its current version. And emptiness serves exactly that, to expand your capacity to receive. That's why he takes you to nothingness. Because in nothingness, you unlearn what the world has taught you, and you begin to remember what heaven has always known about you. You are not neediness. You are channel. You are not a hole. You are a bridge. You are not a fault. You are fertile ground. And when you start to see yourself like that, everything changes. The way you pray changes. The way you wait changes. Because you stop asking in fear and begins to declare with authority, not an arrogant authority, but the authority of one who knows he is in covenant with the Creator. And this alliance does not depend on what you feel. It depends on what he has promised. Now think with me. What if the emptiness you live in today is, in fact, proof that you are exactly in the place where God wants to start something new? What if, instead of running away from it, you welcomed it? What if, instead of resisting, did you trust it? The most powerful manifestation does not come from force. It comes from surrender. Because that's when you stop trying to control everything, that you allow the impossible to happen. And here's the final secret, the one that changes everything. Nothing. It is the place where God reveals himself as everything. When you have nowhere else to look, you look inside. And it is there, in this sacred, intimate, hidden place, that he meets you. And what he activates inside, no one can take it away. You don't attract the miracle. You become the space where it happens. And from now on, every time you feel emptiness, remember, it's not the end. It is God working from within. Because the invisible always precedes the inevitable. And the inevitable is, the demonstration will come. But first, the Creator needs to have space within you. That's the secret. That is the promise. And you're not alone. The Spirit is moving, inside the nothing, within your now. The demonstration has already begun. Maybe now you're silent, feeling all this echo inside, and that's a good thing, because that's where the change begins. Not in the noise of ideas, but in the space where something finally makes sense, where you feel, even if you can't explain it, that something has aligned. It is this point that the spirit waits, not when you understand everything with your mind, but when something inside you simply knows. Because the truth does not need proof, it just needs to be acknowledged. And if you've made it this far, it's because somehow you're ready. Ready to stop running in circles. Ready to stop asking for what is already yours. Ready to stop negotiating with God for crumbs when He has already called you to the table. The emptiness that brought you here. He did not come to destroy you. He came to reposition you. He came to reconnect you with the source. And the source never dries up. You don't need more certainty. It needs more confidence. Do not trust in formulas, techniques, or quick promises, but confidence in the process, in the invisible, in the divine. Because it is He who begins everything in nothing, and it is He who completes. And you weren't created to survive in this world, hoping it works out. You were created to manifest, to expand, to transform atmosphere. But this only happens when you understand. Emptiness is not the problem. It's the door. The door that takes you away from the rush, the fear, the anxiety, and takes you to a place where everything is created, the now. Because God only acts in the now. And as long as you're trying to live in the when, you'll stay away from the how. Real faith is not expecting something to come. It's living as if it were already, and not by illusion, but out of conscience. The awareness that what you seek has already been released. The only thing that was missing was space, and now you know how that space is created. In the void, in silence, in surrender. And make no mistake, surrender is not giving up. Surrender is alignment. It is to say with life, I trust in God's timing even when my clock does not understand. That's what moves the mountains. This is what speeds up processes. This is what manifests miracles. Because where the mind freezes, the spirit flows. Are you ready to flow? Perhaps this is the time to stop fighting against what has not happened and start embracing what is being born, even if it's still just a seed, even if it is still invisible. The invisible is where it all begins. The earth did not see the light before God said it. The sea did not exist before He parted the waters. And your new one won't start with the evidence either. It will start with the word, by the haja that He will release when you stop resisting. But beware, this haja is not just a sound. It's a vibration. It's a frequency. And you only listen when you shut up inside. Hence the emptiness, hence the pause, hence the silence between the old and the new. Because you're not just going to get something different, you will become someone different. This is the real miracle. And the best part? You're already in the process. What seemed like a delay, it was alignment. What seemed like abandonment, it was protection. What seemed empty, it was preparation. Nothing was in vain, nor the pain, nor silence, nor does it wait. And now you have a choice. Either keep trying to force doors that have already closed, or surrender to the door that has always been open. Because God is like that. He never forces us. He invites. And emptiness is the most honest invitation He makes. Maybe you feel like this video came to you at the right time, and it was no coincidence. It was an answer, something bigger than what you're calling you in. And if you feel it, then listen. The time for begging is over. The time to chase too. Now it's time to receive. But to receive, you need to give up control of fear, of the need to understand everything. Make room, feel, breathe, and remember, everything that is of God. It starts in nothingness, because He doesn't need scenery, only space. And if now, within you, there is space, then you can be sure something Much greater is already coming, and when it comes, you will understand why you had to go through all this. You'll look back and say, I'm glad it hurt. Good thing it emptied. Because if it hadn't hurt, I wouldn't have stopped. What if I hadn't stopped? I wouldn't have listened. And when you listen, you are never the same again. If this really touched you, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. This helps this content reach more people and keeps you connected with everything that's still to come. Demonstration is not a destination, it is a state, and you just entered it. Now, just keep it. See you next time.